All right, y'all. So this is Kenny Alward of the In the House 2.0 podcast, and Scouse started touting this, my buddy, early this week about a 1-2-3 that we have here. And I can't believe we pulled this off. I can't believe these guys took the time for just us silly little people that sit behind a goal and harass keepers. But we've got James O'Connor, Executive Vice President of Development for Soccer Holdings. We've got Coach John Hackworth, and also Sporting Director for Louisville City FC, and Coach Christy Holly from Racing. And then me and Scouse, just our idiot faces on here again. So guys, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. This is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and I can't believe I've got all three of you on here at the same time. And I just really want to thank you all for taking the time to spend with us this evening.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure. Yeah, appreciate you.
Yeah.
Scouse, how did you do this?
Well, it's I'm still trying to figure that out myself, because I was talking to my buddy Brad Estes, and I said, wouldn't it be nice if we could get them all in the same place at the same time so we can ask them questions and see how the preseason's going? And he goes, okay, let me call you back. Before I know it, it's set up. So did the boss Brad Estes, did he make you guys all come, or else, or what?
Yes.
The cat is out of the bag, Brad Estes.
Yeah,
You're a hard man.
You don't see the gun to our head just yet, do you?
Yeah, it's just a pity we can't do this in a pub over a pint of Guinness.
No.
That is a big shame. I'll have to.
Yes, it is. See, I've got my thing in here, because I've got to get into the
Yeah, I'll say
plastic paddy stuff for this week. So
yeah.
But the one thing you won't find in my house is green beer.
Mm.
No, that's cardinal sin.
Absolutely, it is.
Can't have that. Yeah.
So Scouse,
Cannot have it.
That's a
I
waste.
think that's the first time we've ever had all three of these guys together on a podcast, or maybe two of them together. I don't know. They all look a little skittish, like somebody's going to throw the first dart at somebody. So I guess it's on me and you to not screw this up, so they'll think about doing this again. I'm sure they see each other enough.
Yeah, they'll probably be at the training ground tomorrow going, God, I can't believe I did that.
No, listen, we're just on here to talk about Liverpool. Is that not what the main topic is?
Hey.
Once again, we have Chelsea
Everton
Everton on again. Once again.
I told you, we've just got to throw a few games here and there just to make sure that you guys can catch up every once in a while.
And we still can't do it.
Kenny, can you turn
because there was a rumor at Anfield on Sunday afternoon that they said there was a football game broke out and Fulham showed up.
Something like that. There was a few people there standing around.
Yeah, I think that was the Liverpool players. They were standing around.
Yeah, that doesn't happen too often, but you may as well.
No, it doesn't happen too often. But we'll let you guys catch up for a little bit, so you're not feeling left out.
So hack on that. We having the Chelsea Everton game on in the background. Did you have much work with Pulisic during your time with the U17s?
Yeah, not with the 17s. Actually, when I was at Philly, Christian and my oldest son played together in our academy, and they'd played against each other from the time they were about 12. So he almost joined our academy in Philly, and then the first time I coached him was with the full men's national team. Great kid, awesome player. I root for him, but I am certainly rooting against Chelsea in the game from yesterday. So if you just turn that off so I wouldn't have to see it again, I'd appreciate it.
Well, so Holly has seen this before. There's the Liverpool dartboard that's in the background, and typically I have that lit up like it's like a beacon. I didn't turn on the overhead light for it today, so this is the best I could do.
I like it.
Yeah, we're still in mourning.
And I'm also blocking it. Big melon. So guys, to both the coaches here, so what's day-to-day looking like now as you're getting closer to the season? I know, Hack, you've got Cincy on the road coming up this weekend, right? And then Christy, you've got the Challenge Cup coming up. So what's kind of changed transitioning from where we came out of the doldrums of December, January? I know that, Christy, you're and James, y'all are busy building a big squad there out of nothing. And Hack, you were also making additions. So kind of what's things ramping up for us, common people that go do our own jobs? What does y'all's job look like that's different now?
You want to take a lead there, Hack?
I'll let you go first.
All right. So, yeah, I think, since we got tucked into this from August, I think we really got started. And it was James and I and quite a few staff behind the scenes, and obviously recruiting, identifying the right type of players and identifying the style of play that we thought would be successful within the NWSL. And then once the drafts came through, we did our due diligence on that, both the expansion and the college draft, and also did a bit of homework, or quite a bit of homework internationally, to identify the players that we thought would fit in here. And there we are come February 1st. We've got quite a few of them arrived. So I think James is probably sick of the sight of me in the office between August and February. So we were like, we'll see each other once in a while now, but there's conversations every single day. But really at this point now, it's the day-to-day is getting the players on the field, trying to ingrain some of the messages that we feel are important, and trying to embed some of the cultural ideas that we think are important as well within the organisation. So it's very, today was an off day for the players. We get back in tomorrow, Wednesday. And then we play West Virginia this weekend on Saturday. So it's fast, it's furious, and it is exciting.
So, Hack, how about yourself?
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to say that I am so excited to sit in Lynn Family Stadium and watch somebody else in the pressure cooker. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to have cold beer or a bourbon
And drink.
and I'm going to enjoy it. I actually am super excited about it. And the two games that you guys announced today, I'm just like a fan. I can't wait. Got my racing sweatshirt, so I'm all set there. Aside from that, yeah, nice hat, Kenny. The thing is, I'm an Adidas guy, so I can't wear any of that Nike stuff. So it's
It's divisive, isn't it?
The non-branded stuff I'm good with. So
cross branding.
There you go, Kenny. That's right. For us, we're just trying to get into preseason and are looking forward to playing MLS teams in the next couple weeks. We play Cincy, then Nashville. We actually play Austin twice because we're playing them in 2 70-minute games, and then finish with Houston. And that's going to be a great stretch for us because it'll really test what we've been doing the last 6 weeks. So we're looking forward to it. But unlike racing, we have the majority of our roster coming back. So it's a much different place for us. We're just kind of trying to evolve, in every possible way what we've done in the past couple of years. And it's a joy to work with these men because they want the same thing. They just want to get better. They want to see, how much we can push each other. So it's been fun for us. And, again, when you're getting a chance to test yourself against an MLS team in the coming weeks, it'll give us a really good idea of where we are.
And James, to you on that, like, how is your role? Because a lot of people don't understand your day-to-day role. Obviously, you're behind the scenes, and we've relabeled. When I say we, that's us because we're part of it. We say that as supporters groups, but we're now backroom staff, right? That's been relabeled, as Brad was telling us on the last one. So how has your role changed just in the last 2 to 3 months now that kind of, especially with Christie's team really taking shape?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I've been able to just come in, throw my head down on the couch, and just get a few hours sleep in the day.
Just binge watch. What are you binge watching these days? Monday from 9 to like 5.
It's been,
Big
obviously
Netflix fan.
for us. I mean, there's been sort of multiple areas. You've got the racing side, you've got the we get through the drafts, you've got the academy piece, and then you've got the training ground piece as well, which we were on time and everything was ticking along till we got the snow and the ice. So that's bumped us back a few weeks. So completely different role, obviously, for me as to what I'm used to. So it's been very enjoyable to be able to just sort of help as much as I possibly can, whether that's with the academy and the racing side. The training ground has been pretty intense. I mean, Brad has done a phenomenal job really helping us drive that, and he's taken the lead really on that as well. I mean, I think for us to be able to have a training ground like that is testament to the ownership. I mean, I have to give the ownership tremendous credit when you look at a pandemic year for us to be able to come out of the gates and to launch an academy, to launch a brand new top class women's team, and then a huge sort of $15 million training complex. I mean, it takes some steel from ownership to be able to follow it all the way through, and you know, they've been a shining light. John Neese's leadership and Brad have been immense in trying to really push and drive that forward. So for me, it's very much a case of linking in with Mario, with Christy, and then Pat from AML on the construction side. Chris, who's obviously helping with facility management and making sure that we're driving all that. The academy obviously have been, last July they were able to get going. There's 44 teams, and then you've got out on the turf mid-October, start of, I think it was the first week in November, all 4 fields were out with lights. So it was a pretty intense timeline that we were able to hit, and great credit to all the guys. It's been phenomenal for not just all of us involved, but for all the supporters and especially the players to be able to see something like that coming to the forefront.
I've got both Christy and James on here. Somebody told me that you guys have the same accent, and I said no. Both you guys have totally different accents, so I want to try and get you guys on here to prove my point that your accents are different.
Well, I think if we count to 3, we might see a difference right away.
Yeah.
They're still working on the pronunciation where that lad's from, so the rest of us are all right.
There's a little bit less oxygen in the south of Ireland.
Yeah.
It's like the Scouse accent and the Cockney accent. It's a wee bit different.
Yeah, because apparently they're the same too.
Well, the best for me is I must have been here a couple of weeks, and then it was like somebody was talking to me, and they were like, "Oh, there's a John Fitzpatrick. You know, he's from Dublin. Do you know him?" And you just burst out laughing because you're like, "Listen, I know Dublin, like Ireland's not quite like America, but it's not that small, you know."
Yeah.
You do.
Well, we had Yuki the other day. I was having a conversation with her about, you know, saying, did you become fluent in German when you were there, and which is easier to learn, English, German, so on and so forth. And she said English is definitely easier. And I said, good. I'm still trying to learn it myself. And she goes, what? You're English. You should know English. And I went, what? I'm not English. She goes, and she said to me right in front of me, she said, England, Ireland, the same. And I'm like, that's a long conversation. I'll not get into. There you are.
So you dropped her from the team right there and then, huh?
I don't even know who we're talking about. She's gone already.
She's actually been she's been immense in the couple of games, the pieces. She's been, it's
unbelievable.
you know, look at her football brain and you look at her quality. I mean, she's it's easy to see why she's achieved all she has.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. She's on.
So I saw the results from the 2 games that Race already have, and I noticed that Cece Kaiser has hit the ground running and managed to score 4 goals already. So what can you tell us a little bit about those 2 games?
Yeah, they were good. They were productive, very and vitally needed as well. You know, obviously that's the first 2 11v11 games we've had, and we'll get a couple more in before we get into the start of the Challenge Cup. So I think they present us with different types of challenges, and as we make our way through pre-season, we think that the games will progressively get harder and more challenging as we are able to fine tune the team. So I think it was very productive, and I'm sure James, I'm never very happy with anything that happens on the field until we're able to sit down and reflect. But I think when I take a step back, it was definitely, there's a lot of progress going on, which is fantastic, and the girls deserve a lot of credit.
So I think there's some similarities with what's going on. It's not completely the same, but Hack, you've got a new division, right? So that's a change of some more opponents that are going to be more common, the way that the schedule's laying out this year. So you've got the established team, right? But you're going into some people that aren't as familiar with you playing as often as before. How is that an advantage and also a challenge as you're looking to, whether it's tactics that need to change this year, different personnel? Does it give you more of a clean slate, or is it more of a challenge as you're building towards that?
Yeah, it's both, really. When you play an opponent 4 times in one season,
It's a lot.
that's an incredibly difficult challenge in any way. So I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to be tactically flexible. And I think against the better teams that we play, we will need to have different schemes and different ideas. And once we learn them and they learn us, we might have to adapt and change. We at least got a small taste of it last year doing the same thing,
Right.
but it was extremely difficult. I think if you look at just our games last year against St. Louis, it was so interesting the way that all 4 of those games played out. And really, it was 2 teams that were well coached, teams that were competitive and playing really good football. But, trying to negate each other back and forth was a huge challenge. Obviously, we played them in 5 times
Right.
in the playoff game as well.
And so with that kind of in mind, Christy, you've got a clean slate. So when you were with Sky Blue, you played some common opponents with a smaller league set. Do you see this as challenges or opportunities? You have a completely new group of players playing with a system they probably haven't played together, and now you have a completely different set of opponents from what there was 2-3 years ago. Looking from where you were before with Sky Blue, what's the challenge and opportunity there that you have?
I think the opportunity is the fact that nobody's seen us play before. Hence the reason we're really just not sharing much about pre-season at this point in time. But the cat will be out of the bag fairly quickly once we get into the Challenge Cup. So there's opportunity in the fact that we might be able to spring a few surprises before the opposition coaches really dig into us and learn what our tendencies are and what the manner in which we want to approach games. I think at the same time, we want to be exceptionally aggressive and high octane in what we're trying to do. The travel is exceptional within the NWSL, and we will, by the end of the season, have played half the teams 3 times as well. So
Right.
within that, there's a challenge in terms of trying to add a few little nuances and to how we approach games and what changes we have to make on the back of a 7-hour flight versus when we're playing at home. So it'll be very exciting. We do have an exceptionally young team, and I think there's going to be a huge amount of challenges that we come across and setbacks that we come across, and the making of that team will be how they respond to the setbacks. We laugh about it at the moment in time. Last Tuesday we had an amazing practice, and you would have thought they were the best team in the world, and then the next day, as good as we were as equally bad in training, and you'd think the world ended. So I think I was telling James this last week. Yuki, after players are leaving there, you think the world's ended, and Yuki's just sitting there singing in the sun. Didn't phase her. She said, "Kids, yesterday best team in the world, today worst team in the world. Just be neutral." Said, "When I lost the World Cup final, I wanted to retire, but that was a World Cup final. This is just training." So
Yeah.
it'll be just keeping them on track when there's a setback is, I think, will be the exciting challenge. I think it's gonna help shape a lot of young players.
Yeah, we kind of have a saying around work where I'm at. You're never as good as you think you are on your best day, and you're never as bad as you think you are on your worst day. We probably didn't change that much between the two, so things just kind of happen. And last thing I'm going to touch on you with this, James, I'm going to toss this up to you. So as being kind of the third set of eyes, and I don't know all the nuances of what you all talk about daily, but when you see roster development, what are some of the things that you've kind of watched and helped kind of guide and lead and also been challenged with helping to build with that?
Well, I think certainly on the racing side, when you look at a brand new team, I think where it's slightly different is on the racing side, you go all the way over to the West Coast. So you go up to, Seattle, Portland. So you're then into time zones and you're into different things like that. We've hired a high performance director, Bree Brown, who's been excellent. So I think there's been a key appointment there to really help with that. I mean, Hack, obviously this year your guys are going to go across into a slightly different time zone, but not all the way across. So I think, you know, for us specifically, I think, you know, and Hack and Christy will testify to this, there's such a strong culture within the club. I think, you know, the importance of getting the right people has probably been the biggest thing for us. I mean, Hack, he looks after all his stuff at USL. He's got his strategy, the way he likes to operate. With Christy, it's been a case of we've got a brand new team. So for us, it's like, okay, well, we've got a draft, and, you know, it's before when we started Lou City, it was you could select players as to who you needed. It was not a problem. You could select who you wanted, and, you know, you build out the roster as you see fit. Whereas with the racing side, this time it's been, okay, you've got a draft and you have to select players from a draft. So you're selecting players directly from other teams, but the teams have an ability to protect. So completely different environment to what I would say we've used before. But I have to give Christy tremendous credit. I mean, he's been phenomenal. His expertise in the market, and being able to not just, I would say, the in league, but the outer league, like Freya, who's come in from Sweden. There's a couple of other players that are on the radar. So his knowledge base in the women's game has been very, very influential in it, and played a big part in what we've done with the racing setup.
That'll only be the case if we win.
There's a voice from the dark there.
I know, Christy, we lost your video. I'm not sure what happened.
So,
if that happened.
Go ahead. My next question is, today we saw come out, now you have a schedule and you know who your first opponents will be. So when a schedule like this is posted, and it's not just for Racing Louisville, it's for Louisville City too, how does that change the way that you're going to be training between now and your first match?
Yeah, I mean, we're so early in the pre-season at this moment in time that there's so many concepts and different ideas that we haven't even got to yet. And when we're playing, you know, Vanderbilt last weekend and Louisville the week before, and even West Virginia this week, we'll not prepare for them. We'll prepare for ourselves. As we get closer to, ultimately, as we get closer to the trip down to Florida, where we spend a few days, and it's probably our last preparation game. There'll be certain little things that we want to try and get across within that game. But again, the hard part is that, you know, they've brought in quite a few players, so we can base our preparation upon some things that are consistent within their approach last year. And you're probably looking, but where it gets very interesting is, you know, for a normal team, you'd say, okay, let's go look at how they did in the Challenge Cup, because in the fall series there was half the team wasn't there, but they didn't play in the Challenge Cup. So then you're looking at their 2019 team. So I'm a big fan of maximizing our strengths rather than focusing solely on the opposition. So we'll continue to try and bring out the best in our players, and as we get closer, we will definitely add some little nuances based upon what we think Orlando may or may not do.
So how will yours change? Because you're kind of familiar with the opponents that you got coming up, but will the way you train, will that change going forward?
I mean, similar to Christy, we just want to put a plan together to build up to that first opponent. And I think that's the most important. You know, Christy already mentioned it. When you focus on what you want to do with your team and have your team prepared to the best of your ability, that's what we're going for. And we feel like if we do that job, then whoever we play on that first day, and it'll be great when we finally get that information, but we're going to be ready to face whoever that is.
So when can we expect that information for Louisville City? When are we going to get a schedule?
December.
That's in proper COVID fashion.
I mean, I was told December, and it's not here yet. Yeah. So I'm just saying, I'm waiting. So I
Okay.
can't wait. But I have no new information, so I hope it's soon.
Yeah, because we got to get all our acts together because we need to find out who the goalkeeper is going to be so we can get some intel on the guy before we start insulting him.
Trust me, I would like nothing better than to give you that intel right now. I just don't have it.
Oh man! So you said that the USL. So who do I need to go down there and sort out to get this information out?
Ooh, I can think of a number of people, but if I say it on a podcast, I think I'm going to get in a little bit of trouble. So I think
So
I will not.
do I need to put a call into Scott?
Yeah, call Scott for sure.
do that.
Yeah, I'll put a call
start,
into
I'll start
Scott.
blowing him. I'm going to text him right now. Blow
Text
him
him
up.
right
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to talk about Liverpool just like we don't. So we got to have something to talk about.
now.
Yeah.
With his ties to our club, he might be the best one to give you that information.
And Scott, if you're looking at this, I expect a phone call.
So, Christy, since you're back on here, our dear friend Lance McGarvey, he and I were talking earlier today, and he had a question for you. And his question was, were you willing to stand up to the same commitment that Hack made in 2018 on Soccer City Radio that if he won a championship, he would get a tattoo? Hack?
Brilliant. Hack, what's
Show it.
done to me? Attaboy, Hack. My goodness. I didn't know that. You've just put me under some serious squeeze. Tell you what, I wish you don't see bumper stickers on Porsches, do you? But I guess what I'll do is I will get a tattoo if we win the NWSL title.
There you
I'm
go.
I'm not telling you what the tattoo will be, but I've got none at this point, but I will get branded for sure. Good man, Hack.
Yeah, I'll bribe the guy to put a Liverpool tattoo on your shoulder.
Hack, so when you made that commitment on Soccer City Radio, did you think that Lance would actually go through with it and then drag you there? Because Lance is not a small person.
Listen, at that point, I didn't even know Lance. And to be clear, it wasn't on Soccer City Radio. It was after a game. It was a press conference after a game where I'm literally walking out of the basement of Slugger, and he yells at me, "Hey, I'm going to get a tattoo when you win the championship." And I turned around and I said, "I'm with you." It's worse than
Yes.
I mean, ask my kids, ask my wife. I am not a tattoo guy. I am like, I have tried hard to teach them that is not something they want to do to their bodies, and they don't listen to me. And now I'm a big hypocrite. So, I have no place to talk.
Oh, you can
So
blame it
the
on
moral
us.
of the story is stay away from Lance.
Lance is bad news. That's the exact story here right now.
Well,
Yeah, I'm going to be dodging him then.
the thing is, when that big booming voice comes over the PA when you score for racing, I think you'll kind of warm up to the bear.
Yeah, the more I hear that, that'll be good for both teams. We'll take that for sure.
So
There we go. I'll jump
out
on.
of three of you guys, who is the worst one of you to choose where to order lunch from for the whole group?
We'll find out on Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think I'm getting stuck with that one. I have to order for all. So
Well, you
I
can
think
change.
We're all.
I'm going to choose an Irish breakfast. How about that?
Oh, that's
You
we're
can't
talking,
lose
yeah,
with that.
Can't go wrong with that.
I love it.
Cup of tea and an Irish breakfast. I
Hey,
would actually go ahead, Hank.
a quick story. In a previous job, I made friends when I was in Ireland with the waitress at this little restaurant that we ate our breakfast in, and we were leaving at something like 6 o'clock the next morning. So the day before, we said, "Hey, this will be our last day," and she goes, "What do you mean? You're here another night?" And I said, "Yeah, but we're leaving at 5 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was." She came in and cooked us a proper Irish breakfast, and I'll never forget it. So if she listens to this podcast,
She
thank
she
you.
probably lives in Dublin. James, do you know her?
Yeah, that's Sally from down the road.
Patio furniture. I thought that was patio furniture.
No, she works at the Liffey River Pub. You know her.
You probably know.
It's just down from the Brazen Head. We've all been there.
You
Tell you
probably
what,
came
I
straight
think
right
actually
out.
I'll take the hits on that. If anybody in this conversation had to rely upon me to make a choice on food, it wouldn't be. I saw the emails flying about it. I was like, please don't ask. Just someone suggested something. Bang, I'm on it. So, mind you, when I sit in James's office at times, I start chewing on my fingers because they're just, I think at times when I'm in that office, I think my stomach thinks my throat's been cut. I get that hungry. Because he's just. But yeah, no, we'll get a good bite to eat on Friday, I'm sure.
What's Friday, by the way, where this proper
Best
lunch
day of
is?
the week. The best of the week.
Yeah, well, we're all meeting up. We've got a meeting on Friday, and Hack is sort of sorting out our food, so we're all intrigued as to what we're going to be eating. Nothing spicy, I hope, Hack. No, I can't. I don't have. I can't eat anything spicy. Amy keeps telling me, because obviously now I don't do anywhere near as much traveling, but I used to obviously travel a lot more. So the kids were always delighted when I was going away, because they'd order Mexican food or they'd get their spice, and whereas what I'm in, it's plain Jane. It's real simple. So I keep getting told I need to make up a game just to get out of the house, just to get away and give them all a break.
So that's one thing we've all got to do is get out and go for a curry one night.
Yeah,
I'm in.
Yeah, it's years since I've had a curry. Yeah. The only thing I eat when it comes to curry, if it's Indian, it's korma. There's literally one meal I can eat, and that's not.
Yeah,
That's the light
chicken korma,
one.
yeah.
It's like that's my go-to.
Is there a good Indian in Louisville?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
We'll have
good.
to introduce you.
That's one of the things I always loved when I lived in England for a while. You could find a good curry house. You get some good dinner. It was always late at night, mind you, but it was always good food.
Yeah. It's always right next door to the pub too.
Yeah. That's what I'm laughing at.
You said that.
He's saying it's late at night and it's good food. I'm thinking late at night, and he probably couldn't taste it. He was eating it.
Nothing good ever happens after midnight.
So I've got a question, since I've got three guys way smarter than me, and then Scouse. So over the last
Everyone's smarter than me.
Yeah, I know. They're all better looking than me too, so it's all right. So in the last 3, 4, 5 years of just watching footy around the world, it seems like the proper number 9 role is kind of dissipated, and there's a lot more playing it out from the back and fullbacks pushing up. What has changed in the game? Has it been through metrics? Has it been through training, or just midfielders being more dynamic? As you guys look at this in teams that you watch and coaches that you like to see, why do we see that more, where we don't see just the old school number 9 that you played through, or they held up play, and everybody ran onto that? It seems like it's changed a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly from my observations, the game over the last, I'd say, 3 to 5 years, especially, there's been more of, to your point, whether it's a variation of a 9, whether it's a false 9. I know we had the 10 with the 9 up top, and then you've got different variations of the 9. So I think from a philosophical standpoint, I think Guardiola certainly comes to the fore over the last probably 5 to 10 years. Where you look at his influence across the whole of Europe, I think he's heavily influenced a lot of coaches. Before him we had Mourinho. So there tends to be different trends. I mean, 3 at the back has come back into play, whereas even I would say 15 years ago there was multiple teams that were regularly playing with 3 at the back. So there's loads of different variations, and I think from a philosophical standpoint, it becomes an individualistic thing. From a coaching perspective, as to what your core belief is. Does a coach want a high press, and does he put onus on the number 9 to have an ability to really be aggressive in pressing? So there's so many different sort of variations of it. I think probably with Champions League and the volume of games that have come into play. So there's so many different factors, I think, that have allowed for this evolution.
I think that's, and Hack touched on it a bit as well, which is, the need for flexibility. Are gone are the days where you're playing one game a week and there's probably not as much analysis of the opposition. Whereas now, you think about Hack's position, you're playing them 3 times a year. They know each other inside out, so now you have to become a little bit more flexible and bring a little bit more variety. So one game you might be going with the back 4, the next game you might be going with a back 3. And how you use it, I mean, as James touched on, look what Pep's done with. He's almost won this league. Well, he's probably won the league already, and most of the season he played without a 9. It's unbelievable, and I think that started back from my memory was the Spanish team. I think back in 2010, 2012, when they really didn't have that out and out 9, but they had a number of 10s that could play in there. So they have influences, but for me it'd be a lot of the need for flexibility because of the exposure to so many teams worldwide.
Hack?
I mean, I just think it's similar to what's already been said. You need attacking players that are dangerous. And if you don't have that true number 9, you need to be creative about how you put your players in a position to be successful. I mean, I go back to 2 years ago where we started playing Brian Ownby as a 9. And he said to me one day, he goes, "Coach, I'm not a 9." And I said, "No shit, Ownby. But you're really dangerous out of that spot. So I still want you to be a dangerous attacking player and just play this role for us because it'll open up space not only for you, but for other players." And for that brief time when we did it, it was effective. But, if you don't have it, you got to find other ways to still be dynamic and still be creative in the way that you attack.
So one follow-up to that, and then I'll turn the next question over to Scouse. What players are playing, like player styles, have you seen that have thrived the most with this evolution that's happened in the last 3 to 5 years? I touched on more of attacking midfielders. We all see, the fullbacks getting way up the pitch and the center back splitting and the 6 dropping back. Which players do you see have benefited most from this? What style?
I think for me, it's you have certain players that have excelled, but I think the coach plays a key factor in that because you've got the coach can present an idea, but he has to then be able to get the message across to the player to make sure that the understanding is there. So if you look at, we'll say, Phil Foden this year, if you look at how he's done, where to Christie's point with Guardiola, they never really played with an out-and-out 9. Jesus has played some games, but I think everyone expected them to make a big splash in the transfer market. You look at De Bruyne. There's multiple players from a philosophical standpoint that have gone on, but then equally you've got Sterling, who's banged in a load of goals the year before. So I think when you look at from a philosophical standpoint, people can say, "Oh, we're going to play with a false 9," and then to Hack's point, it's like, okay, if the false 9 keeps dropping really deep and plays almost like a 10, you have to have people then that are coming into that space in behind from the wide areas. Sterling's done a great job with that. So I think you look at Cristiano Ronaldo and you look at how he's evolved from being an out-and-out winger to then being able to be, from an attacking standpoint, very flexible and popping up into areas where he's gone on and he scored, God Almighty, how many goals toward the end for Real Madrid. And so I think when you look at the individual and then you look at the team that they're playing in and then you look at the coach, the coach has to be creative in how he's going to get the best out of all the individuals and then obviously come up with ways to win games. Coaching's all about winning games. And I think if you've got a 9, that's going to score you all your goals. You just play him as a 9. You don't have to be creative if he's that good. But, the way the game is changing and scouting is evolving, and to your point on metrics, you've got people that are looking into individuals and games in a much more analytical way.
Yeah, I mean, you ask about a position that's thriving. You look at the 7 and 11s across. You can talk about the Premier League specifically. James said Sterling. You look at Mane. You look at Salah. You look at Aubameyang. You look at Rashford. He's not playing through the middle. He's coming in off the wing. Pulisic we touched on earlier. That position, there's more of an emphasis, to my memory, than there has been in the past in terms of producing goals. And maybe that's led to the evolution of what is asked out of a 9. Whereas, and you can look at Harry Kane. Harry Kane scores goals, put him right through the middle. You know, I'm not his biggest fan, but my goodness, he can score goals.
So why don't take him out of there? Yeah, if Son wasn't there, he probably wouldn't score.
Yeah,
and Son's a hell of a player as well. You look at you look at the flexibility that they have. I think it's from an attacking standpoint, it's always where's the space. So if you've got quick attacking players that understand space and know how to capitalize on space, then they've got half a chance. I think that's the biggest thing. It's whether it's labeled as a inside right or inside left or a false 9 or whatever other connotation it gets put on it. I think from an attacking standpoint, if they have good tactical awareness, understand where space is and know how to utilize it, then they're going to be dangerous.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So we're right on top of a new season. So Louisville City, a few new faces in there, and Christy, you've got a whole team full of new faces. During the training, is there anybody in the squads that you have right now that is really standing out? That going above and beyond to when the season actually does arrive?
Yeah, I think probably the assistant coach. He stands out as the worst referee I've ever come across. We were planning a session today, and his question was, right, but when's it stop? Like, what do you mean? He goes, because I have to ref this, and the players are going to hammer me if I don't get this right. So, it couldn't. Hack, I'm sure it's the same in your end. It's when all things start going, you don't want to be stuck in the crossfire. But,
No doubt.
Yeah, you don't want to be caught in the crossfire. It can get ugly fast. Players that stand out, honestly, no, I wouldn't be one to highlight one individual player. I mean, we did talk about someone earlier. Every player is bringing something a little bit different, but the one thing that stands out to me is their willingness to get after it, to get down and get after it. And where I'm not going to sugarcoat it, I've stood in front of them, told them this might not be for everybody. We're going to ask a lot of you physically and psychologically. We are really, really going to put you in challenging positions, and every single one of them have stepped up at this point in time. So yeah, I think I would just say across the board have been absolutely tremendous. I know there's been many conversations in the background to try and make sure that we identified the right players, and naturally you'll get some rights, you'll get some wrong, but across the board at this point in time, every single player's attitude and commitment it's just been really refreshing, and that's part of being a young team. And we've been fortunate with the two, I say in front of them, the two experienced players. We've been selective about who those experienced players are, because their experiences and their beliefs will influence the younger players. So yeah, feeling very excited about that. We've got a lot of work to do, but it's so far so good in terms of every single one of them pulling their socks up and getting stuck into it.
How about you, Hack? Does anybody stood out during your training sessions now?
I don't like to ever point out any individuals either. It's much more about how we collectively do things. But out of the newcomers that we do have some wily old veterans. Tyler Gibson, Jimmy McLaughlin. I mean, they're players that are known in our league and have done such a good job in their career. We're still anxious for our goalkeeper from France, Simone. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name.
He already got called out by Scout. So I got to stop you for a second. Scouts called him Simon, and your boy Cruz just lit into us like we all said Simon.
And it was so good.
I know, and he's like, and Hack, and then at the end of the thing, we're like, well, we just don't want to piss off Hack at this point. And it's not even really about Simone anymore. It's turned into being about you.
Well, you know what? If the shoe fits, wear it. So, it's because Danny for 4 months called him Simon, and his name is not Simon. It's Simone.
It's Danny's fault. I love this.
Danny's fault is what it comes down to. And then we have an 18-year-old that we signed, which is a really interesting player. This kid JT Kamara. He's as big as Danny in height, so just to look out for that. But this kid is lightning in a bottle, 1v1. So, like I said, Jimmy McLaughlin is the same way. Really good. Tyler Gibson's an unbelievable, 6 and box-to-box midfielder. So we feel like we've added some really good players. And when we get Simone over here, that's just been complicated by him getting a visa and him being able to enter the country. But we are excited about the new players that we brought in, and feel like they're doing a really good job integrating themselves with the guys that are returning.
So, Christy, have you got all of your players on site now, or are you still waiting on any players to arrive?
We still have more players to arrive, so there'll be more arriving in the coming weeks and months, which is exciting for sure. We had, I think, our most recent arrivals were Kaylee Real and Freya Olsen, who were fantastic additions. So we were able to get Freya on the pitch this weekend. It was the first time she got to play. She was carrying a little bit of an injury, and obviously their season finished in November last year, so that was their first competitive game in a while. That was great to see. And Kaylee went in, and she was fantastic against Vanderbilt. So yeah, there's a couple of good additions, and James, and full credit to James as well. Like, he was working on someone yesterday. Well, actually, this has been ongoing for quite some time, but we really made fantastic progress in the last kind of 48 hours, which we're excited about, and we think that player in particular is going to be a massive addition. And then we've got others that will be revealed in due time.
Hack, do you expect any more players to join the squad coming before the start of the season?
Yes. Sorry, Scott. I can't give you any more than that, but yes.
Okay. So is it just 1 or 2, or how many?
Right now we plan on 1 to 2.
1 to 2. Okay. All right.
The
So
way Salah and Mane are playing, I think there's every chance they're coming across.
John Neese has given us that budget where,
yeah.
Mane is on our board for sure.
This will probably
Yeah.
coincide with the kit releases for both teams that is still under wraps.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think someone should ask about the kit release one more time, or someone should ask about Kristen Press and Tobin Heath.
Exactly. So I do want to interject something here for all of the people for looking for the supporters group stuff this year. So we had our AGM week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I guess it was. We have lowered our dues to $10 this year because we felt with the COVID and people couldn't attend last year that it just made more sense to do that. So website's being updated right now. It's changed to $10, and we appreciate everybody that's part of Scouse's House, part of the original SGs here. So I'm just going to toss it out there because James, you've been around here since what? You left for just a touch, but you were here since 2016. I believe that's correct. How have you seen the landscape of what Louisville, just as a city and the soccer community in the United States, has looked at from where it was? We were playing in a ballpark and we had the turf monster. We didn't really know what was going on. We built it up, but when I say we, because we all collectively did. How has that conversation changed as you moving into your new role that was way different than when you first got here, and that now that Hack and Holly have been able to get into?
Well, I think it's testament to everyone to see the journey that we've all been on, but then to see where it is now. I think from the start it was basically we've got a brand new team coming to play in a baseball stadium with a hope that, we can be successful and hopefully try to convince the local community to get behind the team, and the local councillors and city council, metro council to buy into the fact that there's there's an appetite for soccer. So I think in the beginning, where you look at, where the idea was, and then the journey that we've all been a part of, and where we are now is breathtaking. I mean, you speak to people now nationally, and people have been blown away by the progress that the whole club has made, and I think not just the way the progress has gone, but also the way everyone has handled themselves. I think we've developed I would say, a phenomenal reputation for developing things the right way. Treating people a certain way, making sure that everyone is actually cared for. But when you look at the supporters that have got behind the idea and really helped drive I would say the concept, and then help support with Metro Council, get the planning, get everything, the commitment from ownership to be able to see it all through. So I think there's been so many facets across the years that have really helped, but I think it's put us in a phenomenal place. I mean, if you were to say, 5-6 years ago that we were going to have a $75 million stadium, an incredible training ground, to have not only a men's team, but now a professional women's team and a full academy behind it. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get much better.
Hack, and to that point, how does that assist you with recruiting players, but not so just so much a pat on the back, but also because you've been around the U.S. men's national team? How has that landscape changed for you from where you originally saw that you probably were never going to be in Louisville, just like neither one of these other two guys were?
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on what you said. It's literally phenomenal what this organization has done in such a short amount of time. And from the first year, I think James, you have to give James a lot of credit for building a winning team, and that there was already the support, from certain fan bases like yourself, but that had to grow, and you don't grow that unless you win. And I know when I first got here, it was the one thing that John Neese said to me. He's like, we're excited to have you, but there is no other expectation other than to win here, because that's what this community expects. And then you go to look at now a stadium being built and a training facility and adding a women's professional team and youth academy. It can't be stated enough how incredible that is. And, I spent nearly 6 years in the MLS at a team that didn't get close to what we've done in a short amount of time. So I think it's a phenomenal story in American soccer. And it is, the more people that hear about it and learn about it, it's absolutely incredible.
Christy, I know we've had you on the pod before, and you said you never thought you'd be in Louisville, Kentucky, or at Louisville, or Louisville, how Scout says it, which is both incorrect because it's Louisville. If you drink enough brown water, it turns into Louisville, right, Pack? It turns into Louisville, right? So,
don't you worry.
Yeah. So, got you from where we were. I think the last time we were on the pod was maybe back in November for a quick little pop in. How have you seen it change 4 months from where you were?
It's been tremendous. I mean, first of all, on the Louisville piece, even my mother calls me every day, typically and ironically called me right in the middle of this. She's got like a GPS tracker on me, so find the most convenient time to call. It's an amazing talent. But
that, or it's midnight GMT.
Oh my good, it's a special talent. But just yesterday she said, so what's the weather like in Louisville? And I said, listen, it's not Louisville. Went through the whole thing, and then I'm trying to pronounce it to her, and then I'm changing how I'm pronouncing it throughout. And she's like, but Christy, King Louis. I'm like, don't even get me started. I'm just, don't shoot the messenger. In terms of how it's fascinating to watch. I mean, it's such an undertaking that's been put forth by the ownership, by Brad, by James, and being led by Hack. I mean, it's unbelievable to watch it and have a small part in the evolution of that. And I think, when I look at it in terms of how it's relayed on to the future generations, the thing that continually hits me, and we kind of talked about this a little bit a few weeks ago with the ownership group, which is the buildings, the facilities, the stadiums, that's world-class ambition, right? It cannot be understated how much hard work behind the scenes. It's not just money. It's not just money that goes into that. There's a way to do things. And for me, it's the way they look after the people involved within the organization, from Hack to the players, James, to Brad, the world-class care. That's the thing that just continually kind of, it makes me open my eyes, because I've been fortunate enough to be involved previously in different organizations within the national team, and there typically is not so much a commitment towards how they treat each other and how they strive to see each other be successful shoulder to shoulder rather than one in front of the other. And so for me, that evolution and that piece about how we treat each other and how we work together to be successful that's, I think, what will truly separate this organization on both sides. The facilities are nice, but there's other clubs that have the facilities, but the continual ambition and the continual need to be decent humans is what for me really stands out.
Well, I've already put the pressure on for me to get the Coach Holly Cheese Toasty out for this upcoming season with some vendor. And then I heard some of your family was also like, God, don't get me started on cheese toasties. It's all he talks about.
Love my cheese toasties. Love my cheese toast. I was actually a cup of tea and a cheese toastie sitting watching some Father Ted, and I couldn't be happier.
Father Ted, my God.
Oh God, Mrs. Doyle, you will. Don't even get me started. Love my cheese.
Well, I mean,
toast.
Hack was in Ireland for a little bit, so I'm sure he knows him too.
Yeah, yeah. If you've got off the plane in Ireland, you've probably met half the population, right, Hack? There's no getting away from us. No, it's definitely. But I will say there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of common themes, which is what makes Louisville feel quite like home. So
Okay, so what have you all found here in Louisville that you like the most about Louisville? Is it the food? Is it you go out and I guess it's not the nightlife, because we ain't got any right now. Is there anything about Louisville that you really enjoy?
I think pretty unique. I mean, it's been a while now with COVID, but I know there was, when you look at the New Lou area, you look at the variety of different restaurants, individual restaurants. I think that there's a great food scene here, which I think is a lot of people maybe on the outside don't fully appreciate and understand. There's a real warmth to the people. I think that was the big thing that we found was when we came here. There was very much a case of people want to help. People want to make sure that you're okay. So there's a lot of similarities I found, but with people back home and the way the people here are, they're a very a loving, kind sort, which I think that's something that we've really felt with our kids and really felt, I would say, from the onset.
Yeah, I think for me, just I haven't got the experience, all the different great pubs and restaurants that are available here, because I touched down in August, but I know it probably sounds a wee bit cliche, but it's just the way people handle themselves around here is quite refreshing, actually. So that's obviously a good thing. Definitely fortunate enough that there's the waterfront, and you're able to get around and get out and take a walk when the weather's nice. So there's a couple of great things about it, but in season, the commute between the stadium and the training facility is going to probably be the most enjoyable piece.
Yeah. So you get on your bike just like the Hack does?
I do. I bought one, actually. I got a bike. I bought a second-hand one just to see how it would go. So it's definitely used that from August to
Well, I'll have to get out there with my wrench, with my spanner then, and get those rims off it.
No.
I kind of set up
I'm glad it hasn't got a car. Yeah, I'm glad it hasn't got a car stereo, or else you would have already had it. Yeah, I think it's got square tires, so you're welcome to it.
Just don't sit next to Danny Cruz's house; it'll be gone too.
Oh man, yeah.
So poor guy.
All right, so we're going to be winding this up pretty soon, because you guys have been very generous with your time. I only had one more question. This is just kind of a fun question to throw out there, because I've thought about it so much. Louisville really doesn't have a great outdoor arena setting. In the past we did, but it's not really the case anymore. So clearly the way that Lynn Family Stadium is set up is to hold a lot of things and keep the revenue going as it needs to be as development happens around it. So for each of you, if you could have the first concert choosing of the band or artist, who would it be at Lynn Family Stadium?
I'll go.
Go on, Hack.
So I recently fell in love with a Kentucky artist, Tyler Childers, and he is phenomenal. And that's one of the things that I think is amazing about Louisville, the music scene. My wife and I are huge, we like to go out and watch live music. And since the pandemic, I mean, that's literally been shut down. But in this last year, when I'm trying to discover new music on Spotify or Pandora, and Tyler has come up, like, he is a blessing to the state. And I think it'd be amazing to watch, a local, if you will, come open that building in a big way.
There you go.
As I Google artists from Kentucky, so I don't look selfish. It's funny. A lot of the girls have actually asked to do the same. They're like, yeah, and I hadn't heard of him before until I got asked in the last 5 weeks if he could play here. I'm like, it's not like I can just pick up the phone and say, hey, do you want to come play? I'm sure he can play here if he wishes. And if, I'll jump on that one. A hometown hero would be fantastic. Selfishly, and I'll fall into a stereotype here, but I love U2, and I've seen them once before, and they were unreal. Different types of music across the generations, but big fan. But I'll settle for Tyler for sure.
Christy, I do think, like, if you could get U2 in that building, that's going down, and their huge stage. I saw U2 and the moon was coming up above Tampa Stadium. I think that was 1987. If we could get them here in 2021, it would be incredible. So
yeah, they were only here just a few years ago, because I was at back then it was the Papa John Stadium, and they had that place rocking. That was a pretty good concert.
What's crazy, Hack, I saw them in 2012, and I'm sure in 2012 and 1987 they still performed the exact same way, which is just, they were unbelievable. But yeah, I don't know if you could fit them in the stadium. You might need something.
You might need about 10 Lynn stadiums to get them.
Yeah, it's pretty special what they do. I'll give you that. I'll definitely give them that. So,
James,
you're up, James, and I'm going to judge you on this.
So I've only ever been to one concert in my life.
Katy Perry.
No, yeah. It was that too when they came to Papa John's house. I was actually there. That was the only. I'd never been to a concert before ever, and then U2 came to Papa John. I was like, oh, I'm all over that.
Yeah,
it
was a good concert, wasn't it?
It was amazing. I mean, I still have footage from that on my phone. That was absolutely incredible.
What year was that?
It would have been.
Was it 18?
18,
yeah.
Oh, wow, amazing.
Yeah,
incredible.
That's unbelievable.
Phenomenal. I mean, it was. I mean, that's just the whole experience. I mean, the show itself was just. I mean, the size of the stage. I mean, I think it was the Joshua Tree, was it? I think that was. I mean, it was just from everything. It was just absolutely.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, they even had the Rolling Stones here at Churchill Downs before. That was probably about 10 or so years ago. And so that's the one thing that I've noticed here in Louisville since I've been here, is that they've started attracting an awful lot more big name concerts that come to Louisville. And just a few years ago, they had at UB40, they played downtown, and that was a really good concert too. So, yeah, I'd like to see UB40 come back.
There's a guy, Lewis Capaldi, who I found there a couple of weeks ago. He's pretty unknown. I mean, what his stuff is relaxing. I mean, Brad came in there the other day. I had my earphones on. He's like, "You on Zoom?" I'm like, "No, I'm listening to music." And he's like, you like the music? I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to set myself off.
I
That's
think
tremendous.
Galen mentioned
Yeah.
one musician that we probably should give some credit to, Jack Harlow. It's not exactly my music, but I know my players, when they listen to this, and they all listen to this podcast, by the way, they're going to be really pissed off that I didn't mention Jack Harlow, because he's a Louisville City fan. I'm sure he's now going to become a racing fan, but he's arguably the hottest musician to come out of Louisville. So we should give him a little credit.
Yeah, shout out.
Tag Jack Harlow as well on this pod.
There we go. Love that.
Scouts, I've
Yeah,
raked
he's
them over the
quality.
coals as much as I can. It's up to you for the final rake.
Well, again, I want to thank every single one of you for joining us tonight. I know your guys' time is very valuable, and we are honored to have all three of you on here tonight. Hayden told me to tell you, hey, to Hack, because he misses being at the stadium and watching the guys, and he told me to make sure he says hi to the Hack for Hayden. So, how's your son doing, Hack?
He's doing wonderful. So tell Hayden I said hello, please.
Okay, I surely will. I really do appreciate you guys, and anything that Scouser's House can do for you guys, all you got to do is tell us, and we'll get right on it and make sure that the goalkeeper down that end of the pitch feels as uncomfortable as he possibly can. And I just can't wait for the new season to come up, and I really do appreciate you guys more than you know. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you
Thank
inviting
you
us
very
on.
much.
Yep. Thanks, lads.
Yeah. Thanks so much, lads.
Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
Have a good night, lads.
All right.
See you,
Bye.
everyone. Good luck.
Yep.
You have a good night. Thank you.
And you.
Cheers.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Cheers, lads. Take care. Bye. Bye.